of the way the tax code is written and the way the recreational marijuana laws were passed, that because this $44 million was taken in, the state of Colorado now might have to refund $30 million in pot taxes to its residents, which means that every adult in Colorado is going to get $8 as the pot windfall tax. But let's talk about medical marijuana for a second, because in the state of Missouri passed a law that the state of Missouri is going to grow marijuana, extract the hemp oil, and then use that for medical purposes. They just passed that law last session. Can we get over medical marijuana? Can we just get over marijuana just as a societal issue? There was a story the other day where somebody was upset. Somebody was making a stink because a medical marijuana dispensary was going to open up next to or across the street or down the street from some school. And they were outraged. Oh my goodness. There is going to be a medical marijuana dispensary near a school. That means the kids are going to be lining up around the block to get the marijuana. I don't know if you know this or not, but there's basically a marijuana shop in every single high school in America. That you don't have to go across the street to buy medical marijuana when Finesse will drop it off at your locker for you between periods. So we need to really get over as a society medical marijuana. Because I know Obamacare is very unpopular. And I know the Affordable Care Act is a death spiral, and it's the worst of the worst. And one of the reasons why it's the worst is because the federal government has the audacity to get in the middle of you and your doctor. And how dare the federal government come into that room and stand between me and my doctor? Well, the federal government and the state government and you and every other ninny out there that has a problem with marijuana is standing right in the doctor's office telling some woman who's got glaucoma or epilepsy or whatever else that you can't have marijuana for your glaucoma, for your cancer, for your chemotherapy, for your this, for your that, because somebody somewhere has a problem with it. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if your doctor came to you and said, boy, you're diagnosed with X, and boy, there's a drug out there that will actually relieve some of the symptoms of this disease, but the drug is illegal. So we can't give it to you. Think about that for a second, right? They'd pass a law in 6 seconds to make that drug legal. Unless, of course, it's marijuana. Because marijuana, somehow, somebody somewhere down the road decided that marijuana is the worst drug in the history of mankind. So now these states are starting to actually think about... Where was I? I was at a concert recently. And jokingly, it was walking down the aisle. I made a joke like, "Hey, who's got marijuana? Who's going to smoke marijuana?" And these 4 lovely older ladies looked up to me and they're like, "Hey, you want to share some?" And I was like, "Whoa, you ladies look like partiers. I can't handle that." But these old ladies were talking, "Hey, let's sort of get high," which was funny in its own right. But recreational marijuana is one thing. Actually, I think it's the same thing. You want to get high for recreational purposes, and you in the privacy of your own home, and you're an adult. Who am I to say that you don't have a right to do that? Your doctor says you're suffering from stage 3 cancer and you have a hard time eating, and the chemotherapy is making food very difficult for you to swallow and to digest, and the only way for you to sort of keep your food down, if it's easier for you to smoke a joint, go ahead and smoke a joint, and somehow that person is fined, suspended, arrested, ostracized, whatever else? Are you kidding me? What is the deal? In this country in which we're supposed to be freedom-loving Americans, in what world do we live in where you're free to do anything you want except smoke medical marijuana because a doctor prescribed it for you? That's criminal. And now the state of Illinois is getting into the medical marijuana game, and which is right at our doorstep. And so why we don't allow medical marijuana in the state of Missouri, why we don't allow recreational marijuana is beyond I don't get it. Look, in terms of full disclosure, I don't get high. I haven't smoked a joint in, I can't even begin to tell you. I experimented with it in my youth. It was a youthful indiscretion. I didn't like it. I don't like it. It's not for me. I do like my alcohol. I like my beers. I like a nice glass of red wine every once in a while. That's my vice of choice. But and look, I'm not saying go out and smoke pot and then drive a tractor or drive a semi, and I'm certainly not telling you to go out and go to a bar and get drunk and drive home. But if you're a adult and you're not hurting anybody else and you want to get high, why should society allow you not to do it? And not only that, why should society arrest you, and why should I have to pay for your incarceration? Not only that, what's the difference between a pharmacy that is selling cold medicine or selling some type of pharmaceutical-grade heroin for painkillers? Why is that guy considered a pillar of the community and on a golf course at a country club, and some kids selling marijuana going to jail? The whole thing is ridiculous and absurd, and it's time to get over it. 314-969-KTRS, 1-888-550-KTRS, or star KTRS. Those are the phone numbers. We'll take some phone calls. Mike on a cell, you'll be first up when we come back here. Big 550 KTRS, R&R Sanitation Porta Potty.